Welcome to Vibrational Revelations. My name is Elena.
My name is Alejandro.
Thank you so much for being a part of the Vibrational Revelations YouTube community. In today's episode, we took into consideration hundreds of your requests wanting to know the numbers or vibrational frequencies and levels of consciousness for one of the biggest characters, I would say, on the international stage. Her name is Greta Thunberg. Now, we did reveal her in 2023 in our membership community, so we had to retest her frequencies before we reveal them publicly on YouTube. We felt also she's no longer a child. She's 22 years old. She has a massive mission, obviously, right? Whether you agree with it or disagree, it's still a pretty big mission for a 22-year-old to be doing whatever she's doing, whether it's climate activists or wanting to save Palestinian people in Gaza and showcasing her sympathy. So we thought, okay, we will be doing the revelations. Now, for those of you that want to dive deep into the revelations of all the other characters that we've revealed for the last 6 years, we have so many episodes in our Vibrational Revelations membership library. And this is where we have over 200 episodes that have been archived. Plus, we go live every single month. This weekend, actually, we had an episode that was over 2 hours long because we had this beautiful discussion with our members. And this is the part that we absolutely love and enjoy is, yes, we do the revelations, but ultimately we're diving into the deep nature of our reality. And it's important to keep in mind everyone's journey is important, regardless of their vibrational frequency. Why they're here, everyone is a piece of a bigger puzzle. So sometimes things don't always make sense to us, but there's something bigger that's unfolding, and that is important to keep in mind.
Definitely.
Also, please make sure that you download Vibrational Frequencies of Awakening Scale. Some of you that are brand new and not familiar with our work, you might say, how do you guys check the frequencies? We actually use different technological instruments. We use Scalar Wave Technology. It takes both Alejandro and I to test each individual, as well as, we've done political parties, sacred sites, public figures, books, movies, you name it, we've done it. We also offer vibrational frequency analysis for individuals. If this is something you're interested in, you can order your own analysis, and it's a 36-page report diving deep into your belief systems, emotions you've incarnated with, your current activated emotions. All of it actually matters because you're looking at yourself through a lens, perhaps in a way that you haven't looked at before. So it gives you deepest insights and also a way that you can shift if you choose to shift and also raise your vibrational frequency. I wanted to also briefly touch on some of the latest products that we released on the market now. We just came back recently from Austin, Texas. We were exhibitors at the Biohacking Conference, and we were absolutely grateful for the response that we have received from, I think, 4,000 people attended it. And we showcased our holistic quantum salts. So here are some of them. We just had our latest release, are the brand new 3 salts, which are the liver, lymph, and kidney. I'm calling it the Detox Trinity, to help you open up detoxification pathways. Let me just briefly show you what these salts are. So they're all Himalayan salt. So the salt is the same. The salt actually acts as information or data storage and delivery system. So what we've done is we've extracted specific vibrational frequencies using scalar wave technology to imprint into each salt. So depending on what is happening in your energy and physical body, it's meant to open up meridian channels and deliver information directly to your organ systems and your cells, creating resonance and remembrance of the innate healing ability that exists in each and every one of us. So all you need is a couple of granules 2 to 3 times a day in water, and you will start noticing shifts. For some of you who are energy sensitive, it could be perhaps within days, and for other people, it could take a little time. So we hope that you enjoyed the salts, and if you have any questions, you're welcome to leave any kind of questions for us. We'll be happy to answer them. And we are running a special on them. They're usually $72 each, and we're selling them now at $45.
Yes.
All right, let's dive into Greta Thunberg. I would say she probably, well, not probably, she's the archetype of a rebel. So however you view her, whether you like her, you don't like her, right? Archetypes are meant to trigger something within us, and perhaps bring out awareness to parts of ourselves that are not healed, whether you align with her or not. So let's dive into her vibrational frequency. So she incarnated at the frequency of 400. And she was born at the frequency of 50. So right away, you could see there's a big, drastic difference from the incarnation to birth frequency, a big drop. Again, we're not diving to what happened to her while she was in utero, right? But if you were to get your own frequency analysis, you would find out what those emotions were that contributed to the frequency drop. Now, her overall vibrational frequency as of today, and again, we rechecked, we did it 2 years ago, so we decided to recheck just to make sure, to see if she's changed. And it's 100. So it's a frequency of worry and fear. And her frequency was the same 2 years ago. So again, this is when she was she still claims that she is a climate change advocate, right? Health. So again, we're not looking at how healthy she is. We're just looking at the vibrational frequency lens through which she perceives that aspect of her life. And it's 100. So it's a frequency of worry and fear.
From the vibrational frequencies of awakening scale.
Correct. Now, her connection to mind is 100. Connection to body is 30. This is, again, a scale from 1 to 1,000. So there's a lot of imbalance, you can say, in her connection to body, also connection to mind. Connection to soul is 100. And again, going back, connection to body 30 is disgrace. That's the frequency, disgrace. So connection to soul is 100. So there is definitely something that is happening. Now, there could be many reasons why a person would have connection to soul that's quite low, connection to body that's quite low. Again, we don't know. So these are the things to keep in mind. For some individuals, it could be due to trauma. It could be due to medications. There's so many different reasons why somebody's frequency would be quite low, or you could say go into the shame, guilt, disgrace kind of connection to their own physical body.
But it seems like the bottom line is trauma is the root cause.
Trauma would be
Trauma
huge.
is the root cause for taking medications in most cases, right? Trying to soothe that.
It could be
pain.
any kind of substances. I mean, we don't know, but this is generic. Again, this is not related to Greta, but these are just some of the ideas for you to contemplate with.
And the patterns that we have identified from reading
Exactly.
thousands of people up to now.
Finances she views through the lens of 55. 55 is the frequency, oftentimes we talk about it, is the frequency of manipulation. So the question that arises, she's 22 years old, she's been a climate advocate or the activist for climate change. Who is paying her? This is a big question mark, right? Like, where is she getting it? And the 55 is, yes, it's a frequency of disassociation. And because of all the other frequencies, it shows that there is a manipulative tendencies. And that's my question mark, is like, who's paying her to whatever she's advocating for?
Yeah, so we talk about the 55 as the detachment, but it's not the ultimate detachment that we're all seeking for.
Mhm.
Where you are detached from the emotions, from the chaos. You become the observer and you see things from a higher perspective. That is the ultimate
Right.
detachment that gurus often mention. This type of detachment is, as Elena mentioned, this, when one creates this shield of protection, so to stop things from repeating or reactivating or activating the pain that one has experienced in the past. So we tend to just hide in this cocoon. And
Well,
more
this
than
is
likely,
related to finances
it's related to
too.
finances,
And
yes.
she's quite young.
And more than likely, because you're trying to protect yourself emotionally, so you don't re-experience that trauma, the person tends to manipulate the environment in order to avoid re-experiencing it.
So, but anyway, she's been, her frequency of finance 2 years ago when she was 20 was still 55. So there is, my big question mark is who's paying her to be an activist, right? Somebody has to pay for all of it. Relationships she views through the lens of worry and fear, it's 100. And relationship to self is 100. Relationship to others is quite interesting. It's 30. So she's, it's the vibrational frequencies that you put out. And ultimately you pull that into your own reality, right? You're co-creating what you're being. So she's pulling this relationship to others 30, which is disgrace. So there's some kind of trauma that is in her overall field that's been there quite some time. I mean, she was born at a frequency of 50. So I'm very curious to see what happened in her life throughout her childhood. And perhaps over the years, maybe in the future, it's going to come out and we will know more details about it. But for now, that's the frequency she's projecting of how she's relating to other people.
And if you're curious about your journey and you're curious about finding out what was the root cause of the trauma that you experienced and that you have experienced, we do the lifetime vibrational frequency analysis. That's where we dive deep into the root cause and the emotions that contributed to the drop that the person experienced from the frequency at incarnation point and
from birth until
from incarnation to birth. We reveal those emotions that contributed to a drop, and then we go from birth up to now to see where the drops took place, and we dive deeper into it to reveal also
what events, situations occurred.
Yes, it is very it is mind-blowing, and also it creates a huge impact in your journey because it brings awareness and you're able to understand it from a higher perspective. It brings clarity as
But just keep in mind, this is an add-on. So only after you have your frequency analysis done, you can book your lifetime as well.
Exactly.
So now, relationships, we touched upon philanthropy because she's an advocate. She claims she's very philanthropic, right? So it's important to understand what that frequency lens is. In Greta's case, it's 100. So there's fear and worry in her chart. Her service to self is 100, and service to others is also 100. So again, she's projecting, relating to others through the frequency of disgrace. She thinks she's helping others, but it's all through the projection lens of worry and fear. So that's how she views her reality ultimately. Personal growth is 55. So there is somehow a shutdown of personal growth, which if we look at the collective consciousness, that actually is one of the highest numbers in the collective consciousness, because this is what we call the guiding light that guides you through life in order for you to evolve. But again, this is why I brought up some kind of traumatic experience, or perhaps many experiences that occurred in her life where she went into the shutdown mode. But also we have to keep in mind she's quite young. And whenever we've done frequency analysis for thousands of people, we tend to see that people tend to have lower vibrational frequencies when they're younger. And then something happens to shake them out of that state or wake them up. And then through the pain, sometimes it's unfortunately, but it is through the pain that an evolution process into higher consciousness begins. So personal growth 55. Now, looking into her intuition, because every human being is intuitive, but what filter does she activate when information flows through her? And it's a filter 100. Again, it's a vibrational frequency of worry and fear. Now, under the intuition, there's 4 aspects that we look into: clairaudience, clairsentience, clairvoyance, and claircognizance. Clairaudience is 55, so it shows that like she shuts down. If her higher self is speaking to her, it creates a shutdown mechanism. That's the 55. Clairsentience, feeling in the body. And oftentimes we see that in many cases, it's linked to, under the health aspect, connection to body. And in her case, it's 30. So that's this element of disgrace. So again, it's giving us, just because of the experience of how many people we've read, that there is some kind of trauma imprinted in her field, in her past experiences, perhaps as a child. Clairvoyance is 100, fear. Claircognizance is 100. Now we're going to go into the aspects of intelligence, like IQ, which is intellect, EQ, emotional intelligence, SQ, which is the social quotient, and AQ, adversity quotient. So in her case, IQ, she relates to through the lens of 200, which is this heroic kind of lens. EQ, emotional intelligence, is 30. There's disgrace, again, linked to it. So it shows that she's someone that is afraid, I would say, to connect to her emotions, or she doesn't see perhaps that it's important. So she operates much more on the mind, which is the information field, okay, the intellect. But as we see over and over again, it's so important that we connect through our hearts, which is the emotional intelligence. It's far more superior. SQ, social quotient, right? She's an advocate. So oftentimes you see people who are on these grand stages, they pull in large numbers of people. Again, it depends on the frequency, and it depends on what she's pulling in. So the frequency of SQ, social quotient, for her is 175. So she cares a lot about what other people think versus what does Greta feel? What does she think of herself versus seeking for the external approval? So this 175 is very much linked to the desire for external approval. And AQ, adversity quotient. So when she's being challenged, what is the go-to frequency? And for her, it's 30, which is disgrace. So you could see this kind of interplay of a lot of fear, worry, disgrace, seeking for external approval, very low emotional intelligence. So there's a lot to learn.
Based on our experience and the patterns that we have identified, there is definitely a lot of, she has experienced a lot of trauma to childhood. We don't know the specifics.
Something happened,
We
yeah.
haven't done a lifetime vibrational frequency analysis to be able to share that information or our findings, but it is very clear to us. Now, we know that the mind is that we all have a brilliant mind, and we're all connected to all that is, to source, to God. And it is all about the filters that the mind activates when it processes the information that it is receiving on a daily basis 24/7, because we're all by default emitting and receiving information from source. So these filters that are being activated, especially when it comes to the emotional quotient at 30 and body connection at 30, clairsentience at 30,
And
the
AQ.
adversity quotient at 30. Yes, we're going to reveal a few more numbers now that actually validate that information. And it is without a doubt that she's not enjoying the role that she's playing, even though she's playing it well, obviously somehow attracting a lot of
Similar energies, I would say. She's
without
actually
a doubt,
pulling a
yes.
similar energy because it's all about resonance.
Exactly.
And what she's being pulled towards is in resonance with the frequency that she is. And one thing I wanted to briefly mention, I'm sorry, is oftentimes we talk about the shadow players, right? She actually did not incarnate as a shadow player, okay? And this is oftentimes when a person comes in at a higher frequency, like in her case, it's 400, and then she was frequency dropped to 50. And whatever frequencies she's experiencing today, this is a massive opportunity. Somebody that has incredible opportunity to grow if she becomes fully aware of her own patterns, because she holds such a great potential for growth in this reality and perhaps create massive global impact, or the activist or the rebel that she's seeking to be could be fully embodied if she recognizes some of the blockages that she has in her own field. So this is just something to keep in mind because it's a reminder for everyone.
For now, she is without a doubt creating a huge impact
Yes.
where she's at. And eventually when she transcends or
perhaps chooses not
experiences a
to.
higher level of consciousness, she will be creating a different type of an impact. Yes. We cannot say is, of course, that the impact that she's creating now is going to be better or worse than what it will be once she awakens to her original blueprint, we can say.
I would say to the heart center.
Yes.
Because right now it's being activated through the mind and the ego, and the emotional intelligence, which is linked to the heart center, is not present.
But it is without a doubt, but it is understanding your thinking process and the mechanisms of your mind. So what is the information that it tends to activate more often that one can drop into the heart? You cannot just bypass the mind and go directly to the heart. You have to release the resistance that it is being activated by default, because it's part of your belief system, your programming. So and now the numbers really speak by themselves, and as once we understand what each category means and what each frequency or level of consciousness means based on the description that we have attached to it. Now, having been said, the indie joy reveals a lot. And for her, it's 27% out of 100. 100 being the highest. That means that someone is enjoying their role to the fullest. So at 27%, especially for her that she incarnated at the frequency of 400 and is currently experiencing the frequency of 100, there's a drastic difference, a major contrast there filled with resistance. Then it will be mission impossible to enjoy the role if there's a huge gap between incarnation, which is already a known territory for her, that she's revealing hopefully, right? As she seeks to re-experience the known territory. But there's a discordance or disconnect from what her inner being is guiding her towards to, and what she's being pulled towards to, and what she's listening more to her personal self, which is still experiencing or re-experiencing or reactivating the trauma, carrying the trauma. So that's why she's not enjoying the role that she's playing, even though she might come across as she's on a mission and she's passionate about it. Inside, there is a major disconnect. So at 27% in the joy. Now, in the ego, so how loyal and faithful she is to her programming, her belief system, because ego is just information. It's not good or bad, or right or wrong. It's 100%. And it's often, we have found that the younger the person is, the more they tend to attach to the ego, because to their programming, because that really is what they have been conditioned to believe and to follow. Now, out of the 100% in the ego is 100% in the superior version of the ego for Greta, meaning that with that attachment to the ego and the superior version of the ego, to where no one can teach her anything, really. She thinks that she knows it all, and no one can teach her anything new anyway. Yes? And often paired with a low percentage in the compassion, for her is 54%, and 54% compassion with others to others, along with the 100% in the superior version of the ego, is without a doubt, I can say, and still say without a doubt, since we have pinpointed these patterns, that the person is displaying narcissistic tendencies.
And with low frequency in relationships.
And with low frequency in relationships, yes, great point, which is 100,
30.
but when it comes to relationship to others, at 30, right? And that is without a doubt, I can say that, a byproduct of the trauma that she has experienced.
So ego is like a shield. It acts as an illusionary shield of
Yes.
protection.
Exactly.
It's where you're in your own echo chamber. That's all you hear. It's like what you project, that's all you hear. And that's all you're going to resonate with and attract in your life as well.
It's like playing ping pong, but against the wall, not against another player, nor to where you can develop new techniques and understand the game deeper and learn new moves so you can improve your game. No, you're just constantly just hitting against the wall. Yes, so it's a lot more difficult to
grow,
be open for growth. Now, when it comes to the percentage in the now, from 1 up to 100%, how present she is, how much she stays in the present moment, and it's 44%, which makes total sense, because someone experiencing the frequency of 100, worry, fear, it's difficult to stay in the present moment. And that's the reason why she's experiencing the 100, because she's constantly taking herself back to the past experiences, more than likely unpleasant ones, and expecting that the future, that they're going to be repeated in the near future.
Yeah, she's projecting into the past, into the future.
And as we know, the mind is constantly comparing, analyzing, and predicting. That's how it predicts. It predicts based on comparison. And the comparison comes from the information that we have access to, that we have in our programming. It is part of, it is our belief system. So in her case, 44% in the now. When it comes to integrity, overall integrity is 56%. And this is how loyal she is to her truth. Doesn't have to be your truth or our truth. is 56%. So she's trying to figure things out. In is 1 feet in, 1 feet out. When it comes to integrity to self, is 87%, and integrity to others with others, based on what she believes is true, is 45%.
Mm.
So more often than not, she's saying things that are not in coherence.
Mhm.
Her actions are not
She's in
in alignment
dissonance. Yeah.
with her words, and what she feels truly inside is in alignment with her inner being, with her soul. Now, when it comes to self-awareness, is 54%. Clarity, 86%. Alignment with divine purpose. We always say, and we have identified this as a very clear pattern, is that when one is not enjoying the role that they're playing, it impacts their alignment with divine purpose, because we're all here to experience freedom, joy, and expansion. Of course, the freedom comes from detachment from the belief system. And one can only do that once you learn to balance the mind, and you pay attention to, and you do that by paying attention to what filters the mind is activating when you're processing the information. And then you feel freer to open up, to experience the information that is flowing through you. Now, when that happens, you enjoy the role that you're playing a lot more, because you're freer to play it. And therefore, your alignment with your divine purpose increases. In her case, is 67% alignment with divine purpose.
And oftentimes
And
too, like she's quite young. Young people tend to still try, actually most adults try to figure out, what is my path? What is my mission? So it's not because, she's 22 years old and she should figure it out and know. And I would say that is also part of her journey, is
yes,
aligning with it or being in dissonance with it. And whatever she chooses, that's her path. But as we see now that her advocacy work, whatever she's advocating for, is out of alignment with divine purpose.
and now there's a difference between alignment with divine purpose and when we first did her vibrational frequency analysis back in 2023, which it was, you have those numbers. I believe you took a picture of. 90, was it?
Oh, it was 93.
It was 93.
When she was the climate change
when she was
advocate.
focusing on climate change.
Which also is, it's interesting. But anyway, she was more on her mission versus what's happening, I guess, right now. So that is an interesting change.
Yes, definitely. There's definitely a misalignment, and it could be impacting the joy as well. What was it in 2023?
31%. So it dropped now
It
to
dropped
to 27.
to 27%. And in the now also dropped. It was 53%, and now it's 44% when it comes to in the now. Now we go into alignment with personal purpose. That is more as of what the persona self wants to experience. So the sense of fulfillment. It is 66%. What was in 2023? Curious.
36.
It was 36%.
So her ego feels more fulfilled.
And more
now,
more attention, gaining more followers, more traction. Yes, that part is definitely feeling better, right? But she's deviating away from her alignment with divine purpose,
which is her soul's blueprint.
Which behind the curtains is what we all feel the most. It impacts your level in the joy, it really impacts your relationships, it impacts your overall frequency, it impacts your intuition. All, I mean, it's crazy domino effect.
Everything is connected.
Everything is connected, yes. Now, when it comes to, I already mentioned compassion was 54, compassion to others 54 as well. Empathy, 54%. Energy purity, this is very interesting because, you know, she's a young person. Energy purity is an indicator as of how much the person is embodying the current overall frequency, the current level of consciousness they are operating from, they're experiencing. And she's experiencing the 100 when it comes to the level of consciousness, the overall frequency. And her energy purity is 66% out of 100. That means that there are things that are distorting, that are impacting.
It could be her own belief systems, whatever she's projecting out, all of it could be interfering.
Negative influences,
Mhm.
external influences.
Internal, external.
Yes.
Could be so
internal
sometimes-
that are opening up for
Mhm.
external.
Sometimes, so we're not talking about it in her case. Sometimes certain medications, like there's people that go on psychedelic journeys, ketamines, ayahuascas, DMTs, all of that.
Yes, that's
will impact
extremely common.
energy purity, and we can do a whole other talk on this, which we have done in the past. I think like 4 or 5 years we have a video which talks about that. But anyway, if you're questioning what is impacting or what could impact your energy purity, there's all kinds of things that could do that.
And people, because it's very trendy when this concept or idea of psychedelics, very trendy. And it was not, people usually, those that are involved in the psychedelic industry don't really want to hear it. But we have done so many, analyzed so many people. They have experienced psychedelics. We have analyzed their biofields before and after. We could pinpoint.
Yeah, we can do
That's
another
services,
episode on
right?
it. That's just
Yes.
like deviating now completely from.
But it is very, what I
analysis.
wanted to say is that it's very important if you have been in that space, if you have experienced psychedelics and you're feeling off and you feel that there's a difference, something has happened. It's important to have your biofield checked because we can clear that and bring you clarity, right?
Bring clarity to your field for sure,
Yes.
and remove any kind of dark forces or entities that could be impacting it. But
Right,
again, there
that
could
is
be many
dragging you.
reasons behind it. So I just brought it up because of her energy purity. But again, it doesn't mean she's doing it. We just kind of said it could be internal, external.
One of
Yes.
the reasons why one can have energy purity
Medications.
at 66%.
Yes, will cause that too.
Yes, and that's
That
all for me.
completes today's revelation. We hope you enjoyed it. We also hope to see you in the Vibrational Revelations membership community. It's important with our work that you go beyond what is being presented to you through social media. I know so many videos are going around, whether you're watching it on TikTok, Instagram, I mean, you name it, it's everywhere. It's so quickly, information travels so quickly. And it's really our mission to go beyond the veil, beyond what is being shown, and dive deeper into what is, and allow yourself to detach in many ways from these situations, not to get caught up too much or too emotionally involved, and perceive the bigger picture.
Yes, you have to pay attention. All we need to do is to pay attention to what has been triggered. And if whatever it is that has been triggered is setting up an opportunity for you to dive deeper and gain a full understanding of what is taking place for your own good. Yeah, and as soon as you realize that resistance is being activated, pay attention to understand it, but at the same time, do not bathe in it for too long, because then it feels as if you have acquired it and opened the door and invited it in, and then it stays in your field and activates all sorts of things. And so pay attention to that process. That is the most important thing. And remove judgment out of the equation, because what we do and how we do it is with the intention to bring awareness, to understand that our mind is so powerful, but it is our mind, it is your mind. And you can definitely experience higher levels of consciousness if you pay attention and you shift your focus of attention toward things that bring you more joy, so you can experience more freedom and expedite your expansion. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.